Hey everyone, I'm Chef Mohammed from the Humane Society of the United States, and today I'm at the University of Michigan at the Maize and Blue Cupboard. We are making a mushroom shawarma pita wrap. It is delicious. It's also one of my favorite recipes. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to make is our tarator dressing, which is basically a tahini dressing. So we're going to start off into a bowl. We're going to add in our tahini paste. It is a little thick, so feel free to kind of maneuver it all the way down. Next, we're going to add in our minced garlic. It's an aggressive amount of minced garlic because that's kind of what gives all the flavor, so you want to add a good amount of minced garlic in there. And then we're going to add in our lemon juice. It's also a crazy amount of lemon juice, but that's also going to bring out all the amazing flavors in this dressing. Now we're going to mix this up. Okay, and we want to make sure we don't add the water in at this point. We just want it to be the lemon juice here with the tahini paste and the garlic. Because if you add the water in now, the tarator paste, the tarator dressing will get really clumpy and it won't get all mixed in together nicely. So you just want to add the lemon juice at this time. So I'm going to mix this in very nicely. So once it's all mixed in, it's a very heavy paste, as you can see. So not a good consistency. We're going to add in cold water, not room temperature, not hot, but cold. And now we're just going to slowly mix this in, because if you do it too fast, will splatter everywhere. It's supposed to be a very almost watery, smooth consistency. So kind of just like a dressing. So as you can see here, it's just like that. It's a nice smooth consistency here. And basically we're done at this point, but we're going to add in some parsley. We're going to do two things. It's going to give some color, and it's also going to give an insane amount of flavor. So we're going to add in our parsley as well. And now we're going to mix it up for a final time. And over here we have our tarator dressing, also known as tahini dressing. We're going to cover this up, set it in a cooler until service. Okay, so now we're going to start with our mushroom shawarma. So into a pan on medium-high heat, we're going to add in our oil. I'm using a wok here, but feel free to use a pan or skillet of your choice. A non-stick pan would be great as well. And we're just going to move the oil around a little bit. Once the oil is up to heat, we're going to add in our sliced red onions. And we're going to cook these down. We're going to cook these down for around 2 to 3 minutes or until slightly charred. Okay, so our onions are now translucent. They're nice and slightly charred here. We're now going to add in our sliced baby bella mushrooms. And now when we add the mushrooms to the pan, it's also going to stop the cooking process a little bit because the mushrooms contain a good amount of moisture. So that's also going to stop the cooking process of the onions as well. So we're just going to toss this in. We're going to cook this down for around 4 to 5 minutes until the mushrooms have released most of its moisture as well. So it's been about a minute. We're going to add in a touch of salt as well. And what the salt is going to do is it's going to extract all of that moisture from the mushroom, so it's going to cook a lot more evenly, and the mushrooms will cook a little more quicker as well. And we're going to saute this for around 2 to 3 minutes until most of the water from the mushrooms has evaporated.
Roll in.
So I actually like to overcook my mushrooms only because I feel when you overcook mushrooms just a little bit, it tends to give out a lot of that umami flavor in mushrooms. I feel most people undercook their mushrooms. Just in my opinion, if you tend to just overcook your mushrooms just a little bit, take them an extra minute or two, your mushrooms will get nice and crispy and just full of that nice umami flavor. Okay, so our mushrooms are nice and golden brown. They're also slightly crispy as well. We're now going to add in our shawarma mix. So over here I have some ground cumin, some ground coriander, and some ground paprika. You can also buy a pre-made shawarma mix if you don't have these on hand. But if you do have these on hand, you could use them instead of buying shawarma mix. And we're just going to add this to the pan as well. And we're just going to mix this in for around 2 to 3 minutes, or until the shawarma is nice and fragrant. Just be advised too, if you do buy the shawarma mix, buy the meat shawarma mix, not the chicken shawarma mix. They do tend to differ in flavor. So we're making a meat shawarma mushroom, meat flavored mushroom shawarma sandwich. Okay, so our mushrooms are all set here. They smell delicious, and now we're ready to assemble. Okay, so over here we have the 2 halves of the onion. So I'm going to keep the core intact, and the reason I keep the core intact is because for a couple of reasons. The first one is you won't cry as much if the core is intact because the onion won't bleed. The second reason is the core helps keep the onion in its shape, right? Because right now if I'm slicing or dicing my onion, there's nothing holding my onion, but the core helps hold it. So you want to make sure that stays intact. And then next, we're just going to go across lengthwise of the onion. And then what you can do is go across widthwise again, or if you want to make a smaller dice, you can go in. You don't want to go in all the way to the end, but you want to go in most of the way, otherwise you're gonna, go against the core. And then, so once your onion is sliced lengthwise, we're just gonna turn it on its side, and we're gonna slice it widthwise. And then over here we have some nice diced onion. Okay, so now it's time to assemble our shawarma wraps. Over here we have some pita bread. We're gonna slice the pita bread around the edges, so we're gonna have 2 circles. You wanna try to get fresh pita bread. The fresher the pita bread is, the easier it is to roll, and the easier it is to slice around the edges as well. And if you can, try to get Middle Eastern pita bread if you can. The only reason is because when you wrap it, it's a little easier. With Greek pita bread, it's a little thicker and harder to wrap. Okay, so now that our pita bread is laid flat, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of our tarator. And we're going to spread it along the pita bread. Don't worry if you don't get all around, because we're going to also drizzle some more of this tarator on top. Okay, so next we're going to add half a cup of our shredded lettuce. We're just going to go around, we're just going to go across the pita bread. Also, another half cup of tomatoes. And just try to be as even as you can with it all around. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of onions, sliced onions. I'm using yellow onions here. Feel free to use red onions just for some color. Also go around. And we have some pickles here, so this is some sliced pickles. You could use pickle chips, or you can actually slice up the pickles lengthwise. I'm gonna add a little bit all across. Next, we're gonna add a 1/4 cup. I'm sorry. Next, we're gonna add a half cup of our mushroom shawarma mix. And we're gonna place it across the pita wrap. We're gonna top with a tablespoon of some minced parsley. And last, we're gonna drizzle another 2 tablespoons of our tartar sauce right on top. And just look at that, look how amazing that looks. So now it's time to wrap our shawarma. So we want to ensure that at least one side has its edges in. So we're gonna wrap one edge. We're gonna tightly fold it in. And we're gonna try to wrap it as tight as possible. Okay, so now that our mushroom shawarma wrap is wrapped, we're gonna slice it in half. You could slice it on a diag if you want, but I'm just gonna slice it in half. And over here we have our mushroom shawarma pita wrap. Thank you.